Hi all, and today we have a very quick video on function visibility. Now, function visibility is a topic that can sometimes be a little bit confusing, but in this video we're going to break it down and we're going to discuss the different types of function visibility we can use in Solidity. Now, as you can see, we're here on our Remix IDE, and we have two functions, one for test and another one called test2. Now, function visibility refers to who can call the contract and who can see the contract. So there's four different types. One is called, the first level we're going to talk about is called public. Now, public is the most permissive visibility. What public essentially means is that the function can be called internally within the contract and externally from outside the contract. So we'll see here, if we save our contract and we deploy it, we can see that the two functions are visible here, which means that we can call both functions externally, as we're doing on the left hand side here, but at the same time we're able to call the two functions in here within our contract as well. Now, the next level I'd like to talk about is external. Now, an external contract is a little bit less permissive than a public contract. What an external contract is, what it means is that it can only be called outside of the contract itself. So if we save this contract here, we'll see that we actually get an error in this function here, because we're trying to call this test function internally within our test2 function. So if we comment this out, the contract compiles without errors, and we can deploy, and we're able to run both of these functions again. So the test contract, it works. Actually, it didn't work because we didn't provide an input. But if we provide an input, we can see that it does work. But whenever we try to actually call a function within another function, and the function that we're calling is external, Solidity immediately throws an error. Now, the next type of contract we want to talk about is what's called a private contract. So if we change our visibility here, we can see if we redeploy the contract that only test2 is visible. So this is how a private contract works. A private contract works in the way that it can only be called internally within the contract. Anytime it's not possible to actually call this test function now outside of the contract, because we have our private keywords here. So the only way that we can actually get the functionality from this test function is if we call it within the second test2 function, which we can see here returns a value as expected. And finally, the final type of visibility that we're going to discuss today is called internal. Now, internal works exactly the same as private, with the only difference being it's slightly more permissive in the fact that if this contract turns out to be the parent contract and another contract inherits all of this contract's functionality, it is also able to call this test function. But inheritance is not within the scope of this video, and it's a subject that we're going to be covering at a later date. So that is pretty much it for the four different types of visibility in Solidity. As mentioned, we have public contracts, which are able to be called both internally and externally. External functions, which you're able to call only externally. Private functions, which you're only able to call internally, and internal functions, which are you're able to call internally, and if another contract is the child of your parent contract. So hopefully that clears up. And anytime we want to, and typically the contract visibility comes directly after we have our function name and we define our input in parentheses. So it's always a prerequisite that we actually have function visibility set in Solidity. As you can see here, we deleted it and it immediately complains that it's missing its function visibility. So that's pretty much it for today's video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, if you could drop a like and subscribe to the channel, it really helps me out. Thank you.